Athens. And in this heat will be Mark Everett, the former Florida Gator. And a few moments ago, when Mark came on the track here in Athens, he had thoughts of home. Daddy's girl, it says on his shirt, a picture of his daughter Alexandra. And as he took off that shirt, had to be thinking, had a little kiss for Alexandra before he got set to run his race, his semifinal race. He gave all his backers quite a scare yesterday, coming from way back in his quarterfinal race to make it through to the semis.
Well, Tom, you know, he said that he knew the pace was going out so fast that he just simply did not want to get caught up in it. Thought about making a move through the middle, but just floated the third 200, which is contrary to the way you should run the 800 in most people's mind. But he has that 44-second 400-meter speed, and he just went wide in the turn, sprinted down the home stretch, and had no problem qualifying. He said, nah, no reason to get excited. I can run these guys down.
Well, also in here is Vebjorn Rodal of Norway, and he is the Olympic gold medalist from Atlanta last year. Michael, Rodal is someone you have noticed over time, and a bit surprising to you, I guess, in his success.
Yeah, he was last year winning the Olympic gold medal. After the Bislett Games in Oslo last year, I was out practicing with my coach, and we noticed him in one of his practice sessions, and my coach looked at him and told me, this guy will win the Olympic gold medal. At that time, not knowing that Kipketer would not be there, I thought my coach was crazy, but as you said before, I guess he knows best.
Clyde knows best. And Rodal will be in lane 5, Everett in lane 4. Tellez in lane 3 from Cuba is a contender, just missed a medal in Atlanta, but the Cuban national record holder. And also a Greek in here, Panaviotis Doumbakis of Greece, is in the outside lane as they start and will be getting a lot of support from his countrymen.
You know, a lot of people thought that Rodal got a heck of a gift with the fact that Kipketer was not in that Olympic final last year, but he ran 1:42.58 and led the strongest finish ever in the 800 meters to win that gold medal, so he worked for every inch of that race.
Yaqub of Sudan was almost knocked off the track there, but got back in stride. And the Greek, Doumbakis, has the lead through the straightaway for the first time, and the crowd is urging him on.
And once again, Everett working himself back to the back of the pack. 7th of 8 right now, last as the bell rings. 50.68 for the first quarter, a good, solid early pace. Maybe Everett just doesn't want any part of this next 200.
Panagiotis is still the leader. Rodal is there second. Then Lalu of Morocco in third. Patrick Cancella of Kenya fourth. Norberto Tellez of Cuba is fifth. The Greek continues to lead. Panagiotis Doumbakis of Greece now being passed by Rodal and trying to hang in there.
Everett getting into a heck of a problem there. Looks like he could get boxed. He might have to fight to get to the outside lanes to make his move off this last turn.
Got to make it in the top 4 to advance. Excuse me, Michael. Rodal is leading. Everett trying to make that late run again. Mark Everett trying to get it in gear. Rodal is still in front. Cancella is second. Everett's got to make the top 4. He's got work to do, and he will make it. Mark Everett waltzes across the line, finishing 4th and advancing to tomorrow's final.
Tom, I really don't understand that finish by Mark Everett. He looked great the last 50 meters. He got himself in position. Cancella finishes easily. Tellez and Rodal. Now watch what Mark Everett does. He's in 4th here, but what is this for a finish? He barely makes it through with the hard charging finishers. Everett weaving himself through the pack here. He did get an opening so he could get out to lane 3, where he likes to work from in the final stretch, and he did come up very nicely with that wildly swinging right arm, as we said the other day, from that broken arm he had as a teenager. He used to run with a cast on. He looks good here. He sees where he's at. I guess he just assessed that those other guys were never going to be close enough to kid him, and he almost shuts it down too far.
Now Mark Everett continues to give his fans heart failure, but he is through to the final. And let's go down to Ernie Johnson with from that semifinal, making it to the finals, Messrs. Cancella, Tellez, Rodal, and Everett. Now the other semifinal heat with Wilson Kipketer of Denmark, born in Kenya, lived in Denmark since 1990, but wasn't officially a Danish citizen last year, so not allowed to compete in the Olympics. equaled Sebastian Coe's 16-year-old world record 1:43.73 in Stockholm last month. Michael, many think that he is a standout in his event, the 800, as you are in the 400 and 200.
He certainly is. The 800-meter world record set by Sebastian Coe was way down there, and he's the only person that's even been able to get close to it here recently, and he's just a class of the 800-meter runners. Got incredible strength and speed.
So Kipketer is the one to beat and hoping to qualify. Rich Kanaa, like Mark Everett, Kanaa came blazing from the back of the pack to make it through to the semifinals in his quarterfinal heat yesterday. Lane assignments, Kanaa in lane 3, Kipketer in lane 4, holding that world record along with Sebastian Coe, 1:41.73. In fact, Kipketer is the defending world champion in the last 3 years, has been ranked #1 in the world.
And you may remember him from the Paris World Indoor Championships in March, where he obliterated the world record indoors in his heat, and then came back in the final and took another second plus off of it. After the meet was over, he had taken more than 2 seconds off a world record that was 8 years old.
And this semifinal is underway. Again, the top 4 will advance to the final to be held on Friday. Kennedy Jose of Ghana and Andre Boucher of Switzerland setting the early pace. Rich Kanaa settling in a little closer than he was yesterday, and Kipketer just biding his time at the moment.
Tall man in the orange is Marco Kurz of Holland, but also of the University of Illinois, where he was an 800 and 1500 meter runner, 1993 NCAA champion at 1500 meters. Great international experience, is normally in the mix in a semifinal, oftentimes makes the final of international championship competitions. He was in the final in Atlanta last summer.
At home in the orange of Holland or Illinois. 1 lap to go. Osei, and now Kipketer just eases out the throttle and moves to the front. Kipketer with ease breezes by to take over the lead. Osei of Ghana second, Boucher of Switzerland, and then Odegaard of Norway, and Rich Kanaa with some work to do as they have a half lap to go.
If that guy is not one of the smoothest runners I have ever seen, guys, in about 20 meters, he went from about 6th place to 1st place without even showing any effort.
It looked like the old run in the Army where the guy in the back comes all the way to the front. It was that quick.
Top 4 will qualify. Kipketer leads the pack into the home straightaway, and Rich Kanaa is struggling back to the pack. He only has 2 runners beaten at the moment. Kanaa's got to pick it up. Kipketer will win easily. Kanaa with a late run. Here he comes. Rich Kanaa is going to advance to the final. He takes 2nd place.
Well, I got to tell you, our 2 American guys have really got a flair for the dramatic, as Ernie Johnson said earlier. And Kanaa says, I am a guy who can close, especially on a pace that is not that fast. And 1:46 won that race. But look where Kanaa is. He's about 7th at this point. Looking down, he's trying to pick his spot. He must feel that he has the sprint in him. Frank Gagliano, his coach at Georgetown, has told him, when you see your spot, you've got to go for it. And Kanaa, it's like the water's parted for him. He looks over his shoulder to the right. He's suddenly in 2nd place and ends up qualifying quite easily, even though he gives everybody else a heart attack having to watch him.
Well, this is dangerous, isn't it? Because what happens if the waters don't part?
That's exactly right, and I think it's so dangerous, but there's no way he was going to go wide, because you can see Sepang way out in lane 4. There was no room there. But Osei moved over, Kipketer moved over, Boucher was over, and Kanaa simply said, look what I found. And it was certainly a fortuitous opportunity for Kanaa.
Let's go down to Ernie Johnson. Strong stretch runners for the United States in the final. Mark Everett and Rich Kanaa. Of course, they'll have to deal with Wilson Kipketer, who is the reigning champion. Up next, the women's overwhelming a favorite, as we have seen here at the World Championships.
Well, it's just a matter of what way does he want to run this race. Does he want to go for the world record? And he's probably the biggest favorite for that as well. Or is he going to wait until next week or somewhere on the European circuit? He can run this race any way he wants to, from the back, from the front, from the middle of the pack. Everyone else is running for silver.
And, of course, there is a bonus of $100,000 for setting a world record. But as you say, he probably is intent merely to win here. Mark Everett is looking to win, too. Has he revived his career? He had somewhat of a lull in recent years in big meets, but here he is in the final at 800 meters. In lane 1 is another American, Rich Kana from Arlington, Virginia. He just turned 27 years old on Monday, so has celebrated his birthday while here in Athens. Bronze medalist at the World Indoors, has a real good late closing kick. Lane 2, Vebjorn Rodal of Norway. With Wilson Kipketer not competing in the Olympics last year, Rodal won the gold medal in Atlanta. Bronze medalist in 1995 at the World Championships. So Rodal, the defending Olympic gold medalist. Lane 3, Mark Everett, former Florida Gator from Gainesville, Florida. Usually wears a T-shirt with a picture of his daughter Alexandra on it and gives it a kiss before the competition.
I just saw him give his daughter that kiss again, just as he did the other day. It gave him good luck the other day when he got into the semifinal. Hopefully that'll happen again for him today. He'll have some good luck. This guy's made 3 World Championship teams, 2 Olympic teams, and has won a bronze medal in the 91 World Championships. He's got a lot more potential. Maybe it'll show up today, but that's one thing about Mark Everett. It's always who's going to show up or which Mark Everett's going to show up today.
Lane 4, Patrick Conchella of Kenya. His older brother Billy won the world title in this event twice, 1987 and 1991. Patrick is the current Kenyan champion. And, of course, running against Wilson Kipketer, who is a former Kenyan, now representing Denmark. Wilson with that share of Sebastian Coe's 16-year-old world record, 1:41.73. He equaled it in Stockholm last month. Looks to be very relaxed, doesn't he? Intent on setting about business as he acknowledges his introduction to the crowd here in Athens. Lane 6, another Kenyan, Patrick Indurori, a so-so 400-meter runner before moving up to the 800 this year. He beat Rodal and Kana in Oslo last month and has run 1:44.23 on the Kenyan team despite not finishing the race at the Kenyan trials. So the officials in Kenya obviously think he has great potential. Lane 7, Norberto Tellez of Cuba. Just missed a medal in Atlanta, but he did set the Cuban record, 1:42.85, set the record and broke Alberto Juantorina's 19-year-old Cuban record. Semi-finalist in the 400 in 93 and 95 at the World Championships. And in lane 8, Marco Koyers of Holland, the Dutch record holder at 800 and 1,500 meters. Former NCAA champion at 1,500 while at Illinois. An Olympic finalist in the 1,500 last year, finishing 7th. But here's the man to beat. He has the big bullseye on his back. Wilson Kipketer, the overwhelming favorite, already holds a share of the world record. Can he best it here in Athens?
I submit that Wilson Kipketer is as big a favorite in this 800 final as you, Michael, were in the 400 in Atlanta. This guy can run it from anywhere. Everyone is intimidated by him. He has the world record. He can probably lower it at any time whenever the money is right, whenever the circumstances are right. He says he's not motivated by money. He's simply motivated by winning and really fulfilling himself and being self-actualized as an athlete.
You know, a lot has been made about this world record and his potential to break it in these championships. But as an athlete, and I know from being down there and people talking about world records, when you get on that line, everyone else thinks you're going to win, but you get down there and when you've got to actually do the work, you know that world record's the last thing on your mind. You're thinking about winning the race because if you already had it, the gun wouldn't even go off. They would have already given you your medal. So I'm sure that he's totally focused on doing his job, coming through the 400, wherever he feels like he needs to come through in order to win this race.
I'm struck by how composed he appears here. He doesn't appear to be worried at all. No sign of nerves or nervousness. The others are sort of pacing, moving, sort of trying to keep loose. He's just standing there examining his nails. 800-meter final is underway. They'll stay in their lanes through that first turn. Kipketer starting in lane 5.
Let's also remember, Mark Everett has the second fastest time in 1997 at this distance. He ran 1:43.20, besting his 5-year-old personal best just less than a month ago. So he has the speed and the abilities. We now see him speed up to get right behind Wilson Kipketer at the end of that very fast first 200 meters.
So Kipketer in front and Everett surprisingly in second all throughout this competition. We've seen him come charging from far back last, in fact. And here he is suddenly appearing in the second spot right behind Kipketer. It is a Kipketer, Everett, and then Tellez of Cuba, followed by Cancella of Kenya in fourth. Rodal of Norway currently fifth and trying to move up. Then Kana of the U.S. in sixth.
Very uncharacteristic of Mark Everett. At 200 meters to go is usually when you know which Mark Everett is going to show up, but he looks great right now. He's in great position to get a medal.
Kipketer starts to widen the advantage. Everett trying to hold second. Now Tellez moves past him. Everett dropping back as Cancella also comes up. Now Rodal blows by him, and his teammate Rich Kana passes him. So Everett is fading badly. Meanwhile, up on the front end, Wilson Kipketer continues to lead. Tellez of Cuba is in second. Cancella of Kenya is third. Then Rodal and Kana coming to the top of the home straightaway. Wilson Kipketer is in front. Tellez of Cuba is there. Then Cancella and Rodal, and they won't be able to catch Wilson Kipketer, increasing the advantage as he comes to the line. Rich Kana making a bid for a medal, and he might have gotten third. Meanwhile, Everett struggling home last after pressing the pace, but it was no contest really. Rich Kana with a gallant run might have netted him the bronze just at the line, but really the race for the gold was no contest. This man did it as easily as you can imagine. Here he is, Wilson Kipketer all by himself at the line. Tellez second. Now here it is, Kana coming up on the inside. Did he outlean Cancella? Wow. Too close to call. We'll wait for the photo to separate that one, and Kana hoping that he got the bronze medal. Here's the official photo. Thanks a lot. Still can't tell. And now, yes, Kana did get it. Kana brought the bronze medal. Wow, Rich Kana came charging through the straightaway and just barely collected the bronze. He didn't know it yet. Fourth? No.
Tom, I talked to the U.S. coaches just before this race, and Kana felt that he had been so lucky in the semifinal with the way the athletes just sort of parted for him so he could run right through the middle of the pack and qualify, that he felt it was a gift that he was even in the final, and he hoped to run it as hard as he possibly could, get a little bit more luck, and have an opportunity open up for him. There's Kana on the rail in the blue and white of the U.S. right next to Rodal, who's passing now. Now he's in fourth. He's now taking his sights on Cancella, and Cancella's tying up badly. Kana, a strong finisher, and right there at the tape, his torso slightly edges over Cancella. He got the right side of his body across the line before Cancella and did the same as he did at the Indoor World Championships. Got a bronze medal, so 2 bronzes for Kana in the same year at a World Championship. But Wilson Kipketer, Michael, when he went out in 23:47, I thought maybe he's going to go for it.
Very fast pace for him, but he can handle that. He's got great speed, and he can turn it on at any moment, and he did for that first 200 meters. But Kana, at the end of his at the last few meters, you see something that my coach has always told me. A lot of times when you prepare for a lean, you actually slow down. He had very good pace coming through, and you'll see him as he gets about 2 meters from the line, he'll stop his pace and start to lean, which actually almost cost him. If he'd have kept running, I think he'd have been a lot safer.
Meanwhile, Mark Everett, we were surprised to see him so close to Kipketer's early pace, and he paid the price for that. Faded to last. No closing kick like we have seen throughout these championships and throughout his career. And Everett will struggle home in last place after pressing the early pace. Athens ends on a sour note for Mark Everett, but not for Wilson Kipketer, carrying the flag of Denmark. And it doesn't even appear to be winded, as Rich Kana will also take a jog, having taken the bronze. Wilson Kipketer, no question, best in the world at 800. Wilson Kipketer continues his dominance at 800 meters with an easy victory here at the World Championships. Tellez of Cuba second, Rich Kana, late run, gets him a bronze medal to take back home after celebrating his birthday, his 27th, earlier this week. And the bronze medalist is with Ernie.